Hello friends, how are you? Today we are going to see tricarboxylic acid cycle and steps involved in it. So the enzymes involved in those steps and tricarboxylic acid cycle is also known as citric acid cycle. We will also see why it is called as tricarboxylic acid cycle and why it is called as citric acid cycle. In each student there is too much hype of tricarboxylic acid cycle that it is too much difficult point. It is not that much difficult if you know just how to go for washroom, then you can easily remember the tricarboxylic acid. That much simple trick we have for tricarboxylic acid. So be with us up to last, you, so that if even you try to forget, you can't forget the tricarboxylic acid cycle steps. So be with us now. Just first of all, I will give you some summary of that what we learned in glycolysis. In glycolysis summary, we will see in summary of glycolysis. Initially, we take one glucose, and after glycolysis, from glucose, we got two pyruvate, two ATPs, and two NADH plus two water. Now, we will see what is going to happen with pyruvate in tricarboxylic acid cycle. Now from glucose we got two pyruvate, two ATP, two NADH and two H2O. Now this two ATP will be used for energy, two NADH will enter electron transport system. Now we will see what is going to happen with these two pyruvates. Now this pyruvate form from the glucose have two pathway. First pathway is for aerobic respiration, and second pathway is for anaerobic respiration. Then if it enters the anaerobic respiration, it will undergo fermentation, and if it enter the aerobic respiration, it will enter Krebs cycle. Now we are going to see the Krebs cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle or citric acid cycle. Why it is called as Krebs cycle? It is described by a scientist Krebs. Now we will go to our main content. What is Krebs cycle? Now from glycolysis we got two pyruvate. Okay. Now these two pyruvates are three carbon compounds, as we already saw. These are three carbon compounds. Now this pyruvate undergo decarboxylation, that is release of carbon dioxide, and it will form acetyl CoA. Okay. Now there is one compound known as oxaloacetic acid. This oxaloacetic acid along with the acetyl CoA forms citric acid. Now it is a three carbon compound pyruvate. Now there is the process of decarboxylation. So acetyl CoA will have only two carbon, as we release one carbon in the form of CO2. Oxalic acid is a four carbon compound. Oxalic acid is a four carbon compound. So this four carbon compound along with the two carbon compound forms a six carbon compound. So this is the new six carbon compound citric acid. Now this citric acid will form alpha keto glutaric alpha keto, glutaric acid. Now, this alpha ketogluteric acid will again form a new compound, that is succinic acid. Now, while forming alpha ketogluteric acid from the citric acid, there is decarboxylation reaction. So, alpha ketogluteric acid will be a 5 carbon compound. Now, from 5 carbon alpha ketogluteric acid, there is again decarboxylation. So, it is now 4 carbon compound. Now, succinic acid will form succinate, and this succinate will form malic acid, and this malic acid will again form oxaloacetic acid. So the basic trick to remember these steps in the citric acid cycle is that uh, pack pack susu pack susu more, in which stands for pyruvate, A stands for acetyl CoA, C stands for citric acid, K stands for glutaric acid. First SU stands for succinic acid, second SU stands for succinate, and M stands for malic acid, and O stands for oxaloacetic acid. So this is the basic trick to remember the basic steps. The main content to learn at what step there is the formation of NADH, at what step there is the formation of ATP, at what step there is the formation of the FADH. Now we will go for our main trick. To remember that, we just have to follow the simple action we do in the washroom. The thing is that whenever you enter the bathroom under pressure, there is the release of the CO2. After releasing CO2, you will remove your nada. There is the pant na, so pant have nada. Will release the CO2 and you will open the nada. Again you will release the CO2 after removing nada, and there is one more pant inside the in the pant, so that to have a nada. So then again you will remove a nada. Again pressure increases, you will release CO2. Okay, now you open the nada, you release the CO2. You open the nada, you release the CO2. Then GTP, whatever you want to take with GTP, take. GTP FADA. GTP FADA. So there is the GDP that will form GTP, and there is the FAD plus that will form FADH2. So you can remember it as a GAN FADA. Then again the process is completed. Now you can pack your NADA. NADH. NAD plus will form NADH. Now the process is completed. Now you can remember, remove the nada, release the CO2, remove the nada, release the CO2, GAN FADA. Then again wear the nada, and the process got completed. In this way you can remember the whole citric acid cycle. Now coming to the enzyme, the steps where there is the release of CO2, use the simple enzyme, that is decarboxylase, as the steps. Here you can use the alpha ketoglutaric acid decarboxylase. Here is the citric acid decarboxylase. Here is the pyruvate decarboxylase. Here is the formation of the citric acid. So the enzyme used is the citric acid synthase. Citric acid synthase. Okay. Now these are some important points from the Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle or the tricarboxylic acid cycle. Now after remembering this trick or mnemonic, you will not be able to forget it again any more. Now we will see why it is called as Krebs cycle, why it is called as tricarboxylic acid, or why it is called as citric acid cycle. Now here is the formation of the citric acid in the beginning of the Krebs cycle, so it is called as citric acid cycle. Also there is the three carbon compound initiating this reaction, so it is called as tricarboxylic acid cycle, and the process is described by a scientist named Krebs. That's why it is called as Krebs cycle. So these are the basic things, these are the most important things in point of need, so you have to remember it, and you will not able to forget it after remembering by this simple mnemonic. So subscribe for more videos. Thank you.